Call the meeting to order, October 13th, 2025 at 6:30. Roll call, please.
Chair Helfrich,
I'm here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Monceau,
Here.
Commissioner Lutz,
Here.
Commissioner McFadden is absent, Commissioner Norpshin,
Here.
and Commissioner Adams. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. So at this time, I would ask those who are willing and able to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good, thank you. So approval of the agenda is our next item. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at our meeting from September 22nd? Present was myself, Marcella, Chris, Judy, Adam, Smith. Did anybody see any corrections or are we okay?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay, we have a first and a second by Mr. Luz and Marcella. Roll call.
Commissioner Lutz,
Yes.
Commissioner Monceau,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Norpshin,
Yes.
and Commissioner Adams.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
All righty. So now, public comment. Is there two?
If it was that was for the minutes too, then I need to change my vote, saying, so I would have lost.
Oh, yeah, no, this was for the agenda. So we good? I guess so, approve the minutes, what?
My motion was to approve the minutes.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So it was minutes? Okay, I did too.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're going to count
Let's
that.
do it again.
We want to do it again?
Okay.
For the minutes?
All right, let's start with the agenda.
Okay, for the agenda.
Do we need a motion to approve?
We need a motion for the agenda, yes.
Okay, I'll move to approve tonight's agenda.
Okay, we hear a second.
I second.
Here we go. We have first and a second. Thank you. Roll
Commissioner
call.
Lutz?
Yes.
Commissioner Monceau?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Norpshin?
Yes.
And Commissioner Adams? Okay, motion passes.
All righty. Now approval of the minutes.
I'll do it again. So I'll make a motion to approve tonight's minutes.
I second.
First and a second. We're rolling along here.
Commissioner Lutz?
Yes.
Commissioner Monceau?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Norpshin? And Commissioner Adams?
Thank you, folks.
Motion passes. Thank you.
So now we're moving on to public comments. This is items and person that want to present information that's not on the agenda tonight. Each person shall be limited to 3 minutes and may be allocated time if authorized by the chair. So please come. We have one on the sign-up sheet. Step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Do we have anybody on?
I think the only one I received was from Robert.
Mr.
Do you want
Robert-
to have any
Robert
comments at this
Rackman?
time?
Yes, we're.
Yep.
Yes, that's the podium and we just ask you to come forward and first time? Okay, a little shaky. That's okay. No, we're all,
Have a seat.
we're just regular people, man.
Oh, good.
So anyway, just state your name, full name and address. And so it's for the record.
My name's Robert Dean Rackley,
Okay, Robert.
and I live at 2335 Voorhees Road. So,
Oh, okay.
um,
Mr. Chair, this might be an agenda item he's wishing to speak on.
Oh, is it an agenda item?
Um,
In other words, tonight's presentation is on, if you have a copy of the,
oh, I do,
Agenda?
yes.
On the,
Well, my question would, and maybe it might be on the agenda, I'm just not sure what the agenda covers other than. I see what it covers, but is it inclusive to, a question that I might have about traffic or control or anything like that? Or is the agenda only subject to being talked about? What we're talking about is just the change of the land use criteria.
it's pretty much all of the above that you just stated.
So that's all.
There'll be a traffic study and so on.
I don't have anything.
And encourage you to just, keep following through. There will be public hearings and as this is just part of the process,
Yeah,
okay?
our land backs up to the proposed area. So
Sure.
we're just curious about what's gonna happen.
That's
that
respect.
makes sense.
But,
Yeah.
Totally understand.
but he can testify later on tonight.
Yes,
The
sir.
Public hearing, that's
Mhm.
Yep.
where you're going. So
Yep.
tonight we're gonna hold a public hearing, that's when you'll testify.
Oh, okay. Sorry for taking up your time.
No worries, no worries. Processes.
Okay.
So at this time, we have new business, public hearing on urban growth boundary amendment. So before we get started, I'm going to recuse myself at this time, a potential conflict of interest. And conflict of interest just fell off. Anyway, part of this report was proud to say was written by my son-in-law, who is here. He's going to be a presenter. So I find that to be a conflict of interest. And so this, we have a second chair. So give you this. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll sit over here just to seat you more comfortable. I don't know if they have to.
You can stay
Can I
sitting there,
stay?
if you have a
Yeah.
conflict of interest, you're not involved in the
Okay.
discussion, but you can still stay where you're.
Okay, because these seats are a lot more comfortable.
All right, well, let's call this here in order. I'd like to start by Jeff, please read the opening statement.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Planning staff has determined that the approval criteria that apply to the application currently before the Planning Commission are Chapter 4.7 of the Phoenix Land Development Code. Evidence and testimony in this hearing must be directed towards these criteria or other criteria in the city's zoning code, comprehensive plan, subdivision code, or other applicable land use and development related regulations that the person believes apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue with sufficient clarity and detail to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond accordingly to the issue precludes appeal to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Before the end of the hearing, any participant may request a continuance. In addition, whether or not there is a continuance, a participant may request that the record of the proceedings remain open for at least 7 days after the hearing. The Planning Commission will consider whether or not will continue the hearing or leave the record open for a specified length of time for new written testimony or evidence. When the city reopens the record to admit new evidence or testimony, any person may raise new issues that relate to the new evidence, testimony, or approval criteria that apply to the matter at issue. When called to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and residential address for the public record. Please direct your comments to the applicable criteria as identified by city staff. The following time limits are allotted for public testimony. Applicant, 15 minutes. Individuals, 5 minutes. An individual representing a group, 10 minutes. Applicant rebuttal, 10 minutes. Following the close of the hearing, the commission deliberates and renders a decision. If you have questions or do not understand the procedure, please ask the chair or the planning commission or city staff to explain the process. Thank you.
So I'd like to start by asking if any of the commissioners have spoken with the applicant or anyone about this application or proposal.
Can you hear me now? Do I need to re-ask?
No.
Okay. Has anybody spoken with the applicant? Or visited the site? All right. Let's see here. Next is to ask for a staff report from the planner.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So the application before us tonight is file number CP 2501, an application for an urban growth boundary amendment. I'm going to give a brief summary and then I'll pass the mic to Joe Slaughter of Enrich Inc. And he's the contract planner helping the city to review this application due to his experience with urban growth boundary amendments. So in a nutshell, this application involves 24.5 acres of land in the northwest of City of Phoenix. This land is zoned EFU and rural residential. And can be broken down into three pieces, more or less. There is a request to add these 24.5 acres to the city urban growth boundary. Amend our urbanization element of our comprehensive plan and to assign an industrial map designation to the properties of interest. The site address is 2195 Voorhees Road. Prerequisite, I believe, of this application was that City Council had to adopt a concept land use plan and concept transportation plan for this area, which is also identified as PH1 and PH1A. And if this is adopted, it will again have, it will update our urbanization element, which was most recently updated back in 2022. There's two motions that staff recommends. The recommendation is for approval. The first motion addresses the findings themselves. And the Planning Commission tonight will act as the recommending body, recommending the City Council approves the urban growth boundary amendment as well. So that's the two motions in a nutshell. And I'll just pass this off to Joe.
Thank you, Jeff. Rosa, will you see if this is working? It's not, I'm not sure. It is. Great. Wonderful. I'm going to start off by kind of showing the audience and the Planning Commission where these properties are located. This map shows South Stage Road here, kind of along the north boundary of where the map is showing, and then Voorhees Road is located here where my cursor is pointing to. Highway 99 is over here where the cursor now is pointing to. And this area in between, this is the railroad tracks. So, and then East Glenwood's here. It's labeled West Glenwood. Oh, it is labeled also right here. You can see where West Glenwood is. And so the area known as PH1A is, so these hashed out areas are the urban reserve for the city of Phoenix. And so PH1A is all the area north of this property line that have my cursor on. And so tonight's application, I'll show you a map that shows that properties involved does not include all of 1A. It includes most of it, but it doesn't include this property in the very north west corner of PH1A. So now going to the map showing the actual application. So these are the properties that are actually included in the application to be added to the urban growth boundary. And we can come back to the maps later if those questions. I just wanted to, before I started, kind of bring us all orient to where we're going. So the first thing I'll point out is this is a quasi judicial application for an urban growth boundary expansion, which is a little bit unusual, I guess, or different than what Phoenix has done in the past. The last time Phoenix amended its urban growth boundary, it did so through a legislative process, meaning the city identified a need for more land in its urban growth boundary and then went through a process of determining where best to add land to its urban growth boundary to meet that need. In this case, there is an application that was submitted to the city for site-specific application, asking that the city add this to the urban growth boundary. And so by definition, that is a quasi-judicial application since it's site-specific. However, I'm saying all that just to know that the opening statement that Jeff gave matches that application type, but the process is going to follow what you're more used to seeing for a legislative process, meaning that you are making a recommendation tonight to the city council. The city council will make the final decision for the city. And then ultimately, this also has to be acted upon by Jackson County. So their planning commission will hear this application. They will make a recommendation to their board of commissioners, and the board of commissioners will ultimately make a decision for the county. Once, I guess, assuming well, I guess regardless of the outcome, there will be a process most likely that follows that. It'll probably be an appeals process, I guess, if it doesn't get approved. If it is approved, the next step will be it goes to DLCD, or the Department of Land Conservation and Development, where the director can either then schedule a hearing with their board, which is the LCDC, Land Conservation Development Commission, or the director can make a decision to acknowledge this urban growth boundary expansion themselves, depending on the nature of it. But all that to say, this is kind of a lengthy process, and this is the first hearing in that process, basically. And then also Jeff already mentioned the urbanization element. That isn't something that the applicant had requested in their application. It's something the city said that if this is going to amend the urban growth boundary, we want the urbanization element to match what it was done in 2022 and what is being proposed now. So it doesn't read as a book with a missing chapter. It reads as a full story. So that's the only changes to the urbanization element are just to bring everything to current in the story of how the urbanization element has changed and that the urban growth boundary matches that story, basically. So the next part I'm going to go over is just notice requirements. So this was noticed to DLCD on August 22nd, which is 52 days ahead of this hearing, meeting the state requirement. The notice to property owners within 200 feet of the subject property was mailed out on September 15th. Letting them know about this hearing and this application. Notice was also sent to agencies such as ODOT, DLCD, Jackson County Roads, and others who may have a stake in, I guess, the running of this area and therefore be interested in this application. Notice was published in the Rogue Valley Times on September 17th. And then notice was also posted on the property. So both along the south side of it, near West Glenwood, and along the west side of the property along Voorhees. So people could see, even if they didn't receive a notice, that something was happening with this piece of property. I will leave it to the applicant to, I guess, go through in more detail the findings supporting this application. I will say that they provided the findings and it's their application to support. So I'll leave that to them. But staff's recommendation regarding the conclusions that the application meets the comprehensive plan requirements for an urban growth boundary amendment, along with the development code requirements and applicable Oregon revised statutes and administrative rules and policies, along with the city's urban growth boundary management agreement. So we I guess, evaluated the application and came to agree with their conclusions that this application meets the criteria. And therefore, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission make a recommendation of approval to the City Council and adopt the findings of the applicant as their own to support that decision. So with that, I guess I'll entertain any questions, knowing that you're going to hear a lot more from the applicant. This is just the overview of kind of procedural stuff. So any questions on what I've spoken to up to this point? All right, thank you.
Chair, want to open the public hearing?
Now we're going to be right back now. Back. Okay. Let's open the.
As long as we don't close it prematurely, we're good. Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Jay Harlan with CSC Planning with offices at 44 and 97 Brown Ridge here in Medford. We represent the applicant and owner of the property. I think staff did a good job discussing the overall process, and they are right. It's a long process. I don't actually have a ton of presentation to do here, kind of oriented you to the site. Got South Stage to the north there, essentially one property away. I would point out that the applicant does own the property immediately to the north, and that property is in the city of Medford. So we actually started this process by working with the city of Medford and the city of Phoenix to develop a memorandum of understanding kind of how the boundaries would be managed, because essentially there's even kind of some of the existing yard area for that building is actually, it was approved years ago from the county that they could store agricultural related stuff related to their plumbing business, because those plumbing businesses serve a lot of agricultural uses. So there's even kind of a little bit of that developed area that's actually across the city limits line, and would be then across the city of Phoenix's city limits. So we coordinated that MOU, and MOUs aren't necessarily, they're not really a binding thing, and a lot of it just sort of amounts to both cities agree they're going to work together to figure out any boundary issues in a reasonable way, which we appreciated. There is it is sometimes those issues can get pretty complicated if you have completely different service providers, right? Like one city provides sewer and then the other city provides sewer on the other side of the line. We don't, especially sewer can be the most challenging. In this instance, we don't have that issue because it's an area served by RVSS completely. So that simplifies it. Urban growth boundaries, there is, voluminous. There's a lot of technical materials that need to be addressed as part of an urban growth boundary. The state really requires a pretty thorough analysis, and I'm not going to go through each of those criteria one by one. You were provided the packet in advance, and I presume you looked through it and looked at the maps, which those are the ones that I think are the most informative kind of what's going on here. A lot of times, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and especially true with land use planning. So with that, I will speak to a couple issues. One is, I think Joe did a good job of explaining what the urbanization plan amendment is. It's really kind of a housekeeping amendment, so that if this is approved out the other end, the text of the comprehensive plan is consistent with the resulting urban growth boundary, right? So that really is what it's doing. It's not proposing any broad sweeping policy or anything like that beyond just the amendment that's before you this evening. I will just sort of touch on overall the big picture things for a UGB amendment. To amend an urban growth boundary, you need to do two things, right? One is you got to look at the land need, what type of land is needed, right? In this instance, I think Joe mentioned the prior UGB that Phoenix did. They updated their economic element, and the city did, and you guys looked at what your employment land needs were for the city, and then adopted that into your comprehensive plan. At the conclusion of that process, there was a choice to not meet 100% of the need, is essentially the way to think about it. There was about 35 acres of need that never ended up being met. It actually made sense at the time, the way the city did it. I think the couple pieces on the east side that weren't included, one's an active vineyard, didn't want to be included. They intend to continue to farm it. And the other portions over there really are some pieces that it's going to take a good number of development steps, many, many years in the future before city streets and water and sewer are actually extended to those portions that were not included. And then this area was in an area that was still a fair distance from the city limits. So even though there's a really kind of urbanized area between the previous city limits and this property, it was quite a ways between the city limits and here. Since then, after that UGB amendment, and all those areas were included in the UGB, right, all the way up to almost to South Stage Road. You can see the blue line there. Post UGB amendment, then the city did an annexation, and now you can see the city boundaries are essentially just south of the property. So those are sort of the factual changes that have occurred since that UGB amendment. So really, the application is to, it doesn't use up all of it, but a portion of the need that was identified in the comprehensive plan, that land wasn't actually identified for timely inclusion to the UGB. So that's what this application is doing. It's relying on the adopted parts of the comprehensive plan that establish that need. And then the next part is an alternatives analysis, which is you look at, sort of where your alternatives are. The state's process really makes you sort of do it all over again, even though it was done, relatively recently. But the reasons why this property and the alternatives analysis sort of rose to the top is for just the reasons I described, is the lands that were not included in the prior UGB on the east side, really, for lack of a better way to put it, is they're not exactly ripe for inclusion. Extending utilities and infrastructure to them would, in the short term, would be challenging. And then now the urban growth boundary and the city limits are near this property, so it changes the facts. So I think our analysis reflects that. And this property is property that can be served. It's not far to sewer, it's not far to water, and streets can be extended. So in a lot of ways, in the urban growth boundary amendment process, those are really the things you're looking at, is can this property meet the need, and is it's suitable for inclusion because it can meet the identified need, within the 20-year planning period, but ideally in a shorter planning period or in a shorter period. So that's kind of the broad overview of the technical stuff. I think it's also worth discussing just sort of the opportunity that this site represents as a practical matter. Our firm does a lot of site selection work with different kinds of industrial and commercial and institutional users looking for land, trying to meet certain, trying to do what they need to do for their business and their enterprise and find land that is suitable. Over the years, we have had a lot of inquiries about people very interested in something with rail access, essentially south of McAndrews Road and basically on the other side of Medford. And usually that's a pretty short conversation. The answer has been there really aren't any, or there's kind of one north of South Stage, but it's a little bit, has always been sort of subject to leases and has some things going on that hasn't really made it readily available. And beyond that, the only other one is down all the way in Ashland in something called the Croman District, but they've sort of master planned that for things that really won't work for any sort of sizable industrial user. So, when it comes to bulk goods, other than a container ship, trains are the most efficient way to do it. They're also the safest way to do it for all kinds of different materials. And so this is an opportunity, and I think I expect pretty strong market demand if this is approved, that there will be interest from rail-based users, because there just is not really anything like that south of McAndrews Road, and there's not even that much north of McAndrews Road other than the vacant timber products property. So I think for that reason, it's really a good economic development opportunity, and with those type of uses, a lot of times comes with some pretty high paying jobs. And so I think it's a really good opportunity for the city to meet a need. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has, and we agree with the staff report and would request you recommend approval to the council.
You get off easy tonight.
Well,
I know.
Yeah, we did our homework. That's the hard part, but I do think it's one that's pretty logical. So yeah.
No question. All right, so it looks like now we can open it up to citizens that are testifying. Do we have a sign-in list?
Thank you.
Did you want to come forward? Okay, you can come forward just like before.
Thanks for your patience.
Yep, name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name's Robert Dean Rackley, and my address is 2335 Voorhees Road, which is City of Medford. We own the property that backs up to the proposed planned area. And a couple of questions. One is that the flag lot that goes to Voorhees Road, that was recently purchased, wasn't it? It was for sale and it was recently purchased, I believe, by the person that is by the applicant that's doing the development. Is that correct?
He's looking for a long time. Yeah, you're talking about to the south and you.
No, the one in back, I know he's on for quite a while, but the one in front, that one, yeah, that was yeah,
Exactly.
but it recently was on the market for sale. And then it was.
Can I just want to say that the time for public hearings or for testimony provided by the public, this shouldn't be a question and answer session. So if there are questions that any of the people providing testimony would like to follow up with staff, they're welcome to do so. But this isn't the appropriate time to be doing question and answer. Just statements. And if they have a question, they can state it. And if the planning commission also agrees later when the applicant comes back up that they would like to hear and answer that question, they may ask then the applicant, but it really shouldn't be a conversation between the public and the commission at this time or others. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Can I reclaim my time? I've been watching too much TV, never mind. Okay, so then this is this the proposed usage, is this going to be for industrial or residential?
This is for statements, right? So we're taking your input. We're not taking questions, just input from
Oh,
you.
okay, that's another question, isn't it? Okay, my input. Okay. My input is I guess this is in the form of a question then. Has there been no, it's another question. I'm curious about, obviously about that because my land butts up to it. So that would be a question. I guess that's not the appropriate time. The other thing that I would be curious about is that how it affects the traffic on that little rural residential road that's right there. And so that would just be another question. And this isn't the appropriate time to do that, is what I'm being told. Is that correct?
But you could.
Right. It's just a little 2-lane road. And right now my kids walk home from school on a little piece of pavement that's this wide. So anyway, okay, well then, by golly, I don't have anything else, but thank you. I appreciate your patience. Will that time come at this meeting, or will there be additional meetings further down the road that those questions can be asked?
I'll address that for you later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Thank you.
Rosa, are you keeping track of time?
I am now. I think that was our only person who had notated that they wanted to speak during public comment, unless there's other folks that you wanted to. Would you mind filling out a form after you speak, just so I can have your information documented? Oh, perfect. Oh, great. Come forward to the podium. In 3 minutes.
So I want to clarify that questions can be asked that just really can't be answered, I guess, during your testimony. So, I mean, if you have questions you would like to ask, I would ask that the planning commission allow you to come back up and ask those questions. It's just a matter of don't necessarily expect a response at that time. I think the questions are important. I also, so I guess the appropriate time and probably the best time to get questions answered for future reference and for right now would be if you get the notice and you have questions to reach out to the city, that's the staff that's listed on the notice, because they can answer those questions for you usually ahead of time. And then if you are concerned with the response you've heard, then you can, of course, come here and express your concerns to the Planning Commission. But this isn't really the venue for kind of a question and answer so much as an opportunity for the public to either, state their support, their opposition to the application, or their concerns maybe with how this might affect them in the future, those sorts of things. And so for anybody in the audience wishing to speak, I want to make it clear that we want to hear from you. The Planning Commission wants to hear from you, but that's just kind of the rules of engagement, if you will, for how this proceeding works.
If you'd like to speak, you can come up to the podium and state your name and your address for the record.
Yes, my name is Diane Romelhurst. I reside at 249 West Glenwood Road. So I'm at the other end of this gentleman on the map there in Medford, 97501. And I'm sorry for my tardiness. The sign that was put by the railroad track ended up by the railroad track. And I'm not sure many neighbors have seen it. I was just talking with a neighbor yesterday, and so I had to do all this stuff today between other things. So anyway, my late husband, Eric Hurst, and I had our ballet school here where Blackbird is now located for near 10 years. My husband was one of the first members at the inception of the Phoenix Chamber of Commerce. Our son, Janson Hurst, graduated from the Phoenix High School and was the City of Phoenix Police Department canine handler from the late 90s into the mid 2000s. So I kind of know the city well. And when we purchased our property in 1992, an old farmhouse, the area had a rural charm, was quite quiet, and felt safe. Now it's another story. There'd been a mixage with residential and commercial and industrial. And as I mentioned in my note today, the county has absorbed rural residential properties into either industrial or commercial businesses. So my purpose here is to contest the zoning agreement made between city government official and paid professional representing business entrepreneurs who operate with disregards to existing homesteads, the owners and their families. I am one included in that, and so is my neighborhood, and apparently also this gentleman. I hope to prevent a laissez-faire attitude after zoning is granted. Governments do not keep business in check and let them get away with ignoring their community responsibilities, such as West Glenwood Road, and this area now is, the road is just beyond repair, and the road is used commercially and also by residents. Children get out of the school buses and basically go home, walk home, where people zigzag their way through potholes. So other concerns other than residential issues is the logistics involved in allowing industrialization of the area, such as the railroad crossing, the only one between Stage Road and Phoenix First Street, the road degradation, the heavier traffic, the speed of the traffic, and the safety of residents. I urge the City of Phoenix planning officials to have a more organic vision, help residents instead of annihilating existing neighborhoods. I did send my concerns today to Jeff. It's more elaborated and more in detail. In the meantime, that's all. Thank you for your attention. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for your comments. Like to invite the applicant if you wanted to come up and respond.
I took your form. I got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Again, for the record, Jay Harlan with CSA Planning. Not as much a rebuttal, but just an opportunity for the applicant to answer some of the questions that were posed in comments. First thing is I did confer with the owner of the property, and the tax lot 1400, which, to be clear, is not a flag lot. I mean, that's a 5-acre piece, a full 5-acre, what is now rural residential in the county. So it's not a flag lot as much as it is the piece that connects it to Voorhees Road. He purchased that in 1990 or 1991, so he's owned it quite a long time. As far as land use and the industrial designation, there was a regional process where the different growth areas were their future uses were settled as part of that, and all of PH1A and PH1 were designated for employment land. So that was just the policy choice that was made for the future. I think, I remember there being discussions about the residents on West Glenwood, and that was sort of part of it all those years ago. But ultimately, the decision was really that this is an area, it's a unique employment opportunity along the railroad tracks here. And so the decision was to plan it for employment land, and it really is most appropriate for it. It's not a commercial site. Commercial sites really need to be sort of high visibility arterial roadways with higher levels of traffic come with commercial uses versus industrial. So that was the policy direction at the time, and this is just implementing that. And as a planner, I think it's probably the correct one. I think, the county and the city got it right at the time, and the region as a whole. The comment on traffic, that is certainly like a legitimate question to ask, but the urban growth boundary process is such that you typically address traffic at the time of rezoning, and that's when the detailed traffic is done. Now, a lot of parts of the state, might be no transportation considerations done as part of a UGB amendment, but here in this part of Jackson County, we have the regional plan, which calls for the conceptual transportation plan that was reviewed by the Planning Commission and ultimately approved by the City Council here a couple of weeks ago. And that really is set out to address that lady's concern, which is you think through the kind of your overall street network and make sure that that city streets to city standards are being planned in the future. That way, when you get through this rezoning process and you get to the development stage, the higher order street network has been thought through, and there's connections that allow for appropriate urban transportation facilities to serve urban uses. That is the point. So I think, her comments about the history, I don't disagree. It's been complicated down there, but I think this is advancing that. The other thing I would point out as far as responsibility, which wasn't really a responsibility of the applicant, just something he thought was the right thing to do. I mean, he's already gotten a road approach in the EFU portion and has stipulated to, as part of when it gets to the sort of the development starts getting to the south, to extend an all-weather facility to the east property line that would provide for alternate emergency access on the other side of the tracks. You didn't have to do that, but I think he recognized that's the right thing to do for the community. Currently, there's only one way in, one way out through that West Glen Road rail crossing, and it's not a crossing that meets any current standards. So, I do think, that's good forethought on his part, and I think it's good planning. So, with that, I think ultimately there's, at least on a public safety level, there's going to be a benefit with respect to some, conflicts. I mean, as long as those residences are there at a future time, industrial development, when it gets down there to the south, I mean, it's going to be subject to the city's site plan review criteria and all those development standards, and there's noise standards and landscaping standards and buffering standards and all those things that are in city codes, that a lot of those aren't really in county codes, but they are in city codes, and they're intended to reduce those conflicts. So we'll just point out that's kind of is the process. I don't know if there's any additional questions of me.
So Jay, for the public, it's going to be used for industrial purposes, correct?
Yes.
And he also asked about meetings that he can testify at.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna have a similar type, where we're gonna have meetings
Yeah.
with the city council also.
There will be a minimum of at least 3 more meetings. One would be the city council meeting. One would be the county planning commission meeting. And also then the board of commissioners would have hearing. It's a little up in the air whether this will go to the council first and then to the county planning commission, or whether we're gonna go to the county planning commission, then to the council, then to the board of commissioners. It can be done both ways. And kind of the applicant's discussion with the city staff, we were in agreement that on something like this, we'll probably do it how the county staff wants it. So if they say they want it to go to the city council first, we'll do that. If they say no, bring it to our planning commission, we would be fine with that as well.
And lastly, traffic concerns.
Yeah,
So
so
the timeline for this to actually be implemented is quite a few years down the road, I would think. So
Yeah.
can you just give the public I know you can't say for sure when it's gonna be developed, but about how many years?
yeah, so it has to get through the, if it's approved, it has to go to the council and the county planning commission and the board of commissioners, and then
State.
And then at that point, then there's a period before the county's ordinance goes into effect. So that has to all be done. And essentially, you can't even really, you could start traffic study before that, but nobody does, because traffic studies, that's one of the most expensive parts of the pre-development process, because it's a highly detailed thing. And in this instance has to be coordinated. The traffic study for rezoning any portion of this it'll be led by the city, but it has to be coordinated with Medford and has to be coordinated with the county. So that takes quite a while, typically, 6 to 8 months is the work, getting the technical work done, and then you have to file the application. So it can easily be a couple years before it's rezoned.
I think the public's concern would be when would traffic increase, and it's gonna be 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It'll be many years down the road,
Yeah,
right?
that once it's rezoned, then it comes down to market and then getting through your design process, right? And it's a pretty good sized chunk, so it's unusual that a 30 or 24 acre site builds out in a very short period. It can, but it's rare.
Okay.
So this is, as Joe said at the beginning, this is the first major technical step in the process, but there's many more steps to come.
Could you turn on your microphone? Thank you.
Hello, can you, oh, there we go. Little echo. About the impact on the residents, as you recall, Jay. And I think that it may be helpful to have some kind of a benefit justification for residents based upon the acceptance of this.
And I think it's a good question. The primary benefit I see is getting that alternative emergency access, which doesn't exist. The other thing I would point out too is there's a pretty big grade change kind of on the south end of this property. So there's kind of a natural separation between what I would call the developable area and the residences, they're down gradient about 15 feet. So they're just kind of naturally separated. Developing, right up to the property line for most of this would be pretty difficult, if not impossible. So I think there will end up being a natural buffer in the site design. And there's a kind of that, you can see the more green area, there's kind of that lower triangle.
So this would help to mitigate noise?
Yeah, mitigate all the things that are associated with industrial development.
Okay.
Yeah, that and the city site planning, just all the city site planning criteria that applies.
And the transportation plan would add also what benefit beyond the exit?
Yeah, I think ultimately when an actual city street, and some of that is, we can only extend the city streets through the development, right? And then it gets stubbed, but ultimately getting connectivity to the south, I think is a tremendous benefit to the current situation of one way in, one way out across a a substandard crossing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from commission members? All right, well, with that, I think we are at the close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Oh, no, the commission's going to now discuss
Oh.
the proposal. So does anybody have any thoughts or comments they wanted to share? Anything more from the staff?
Just the recommendation for approval. If you were interested in making such motions, you can find them written down on the staff report towards the bottom of it. Rosa
Madam
might
Chair,
be
I have a
able.
question regarding the motions.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want the motions separate and a separate vote on each motion? Or do you want them combined?
Two separate motions, please.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on, let me get to that spot. All right. Well, I would consider any motions.
Well, there's no more discussion. I'll go ahead and make a motion and I'll do the first motion. It's a long one. So I move to adopt the findings of the applicant along with other materials from the applicant demonstrating compliance with applicable portions of the Phoenix Land Development Code, Phoenix Comprehensive Plan, the Urban Growth Boundary Management Agreement between the City of Phoenix and Jackson County, and the statewide planning goals, along with other materials presented in the Planning Commission staff report as the basis of the Planning Commission recommendation to the City Council. The longest motion I've ever read.
Second.
Was that Smith who seconded? Perfect,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Lutz?
Well, why don't we ask if
Sorry?
there's any more discussion? You can ask that question.
Any more discussion?
Good. Now we vote.
All right.
Okay, Commissioner Lutz?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah.
Commissioner Monceau?
Yeah.
Commissioner Norpshin?
Yes.
And Commissioner Adams?
Yes,
Motion passes.
All right.
Want me to do the motion? Okay,
It's like you're up.
you want to do it?
I move to recommend approval of application number CP 25-01 for a comprehensive plan map amendment to add 24.5 acres to the City of Phoenix urban growth boundary and to amend the urbanization element of the comprehensive plan as presented by staff.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay, Commissioner Monceau?
Yeah.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Lutz?
Yes.
Commissioner Norpshin?
Yes.
And Commissioner Adams?
yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
No, I think we passed.
I'm gonna return the gavel.
Mr. Chair, you're up.
You again.
See, where are we now? We were at the, got that out of the way, and,
Old business.
so, old business, we have none. Do we? No? Oh, so.
Nothing on here.
No, sir.
And so, at this time, we'll just open it up to, Commissioner, any comment?
Where do you want to start, Terry?
Yes, please start.
Happy Columbus Day. That's.
I don't know, maybe it was here in 1962, but we had a storm come through here on Columbus Day that 90-mile-an-hour, 100-mile-an-hour wind. So it was pretty brutal. That's when I remember about Thomas Day scared to death.
That's all I have.
Okay. That's all.
I have nothing. Anything new?
Yeah.
Oh, no, thanks.
Sorry.
I guess one thing I wanted to say was that on Saturday, my neighborhood organized a block party. And it was really great. Julia, as my neighbor, was there, Mayor was there, Terry was there. It was wonderful, well attended, fun to see people I'd never seen before. Great turnout, really fun, beautiful day. So I encourage other people to do that and go out and meet your neighbors. It was really special.
Yeah, well, I did stop by, there was a barrier, came to city council to, barrier it. It was a short street and barrier it. And all the neighbors around, kids were playing and barbecuing, and yeah, it was pretty special to see a block party. I know I've heard of them before, but to see one organized like this and to be able to go to, it was real special. Got to meet kids and new people I have never met. I was just on my way home, stopped, and they invited me. So.
On that note, I was just going to add, we now have a block party form on our website that I created. So if people in the audience or people in the community do throw their own block parties, there's a process to do that now. So on our website.
Nice.
Super cool.
I think it's nice to see a community come together like that. Pretty special. So no other comments and make you think of, staff, do we have anything?
Yes, sir. Just a few bullets. From Zach. We got an update from the CPA project over there at Headwaters, and they finished our audit. So we'll have some results to share with you very soon. We just got like a 9-page document back from them. So that's on wildfire mitigation and projects like that for a community. Zach just submitted a $230,000 grant from DLCD's Community Green Infrastructure Grant Program in supplementation to another grant for a Civic Center natural area project. So very exciting times there. We have a few code amendments on the horizon, one for public art. The trip budget, we have a table and we're assessing all the parcels and how many trips are being consumed. It's going to be a whole thing. We're working with ODOT. We got their blessing to start the conversation there because there's a few parcels in town that have trip constraints essentially, and they want to develop their parcels. And we have a code amendment for floodplain development as well with all the change, the US EPA and FEMA has kind of inspired that one. So we'll probably be talking about those code changes these next couple months before the year's end. Our November meeting, however, will focus on a variance request. Summit Beverage is rebuilding after the collapse due to a snow load this winter. They're rebuilding, and they have some facade requests that they want to run by your team to make sure that they can basically kind of rebuild it kind of similar to what it was. So that's why you guys are seeing this application. There's a variance component to it. What else? PH10 over on the east side of town, just east of PH5. There is a road project, a city road project that's now under construction. There's going to be a sewer line extension, a water line extension, and a new road that connects to PH10. And that's what I got.
Did CPA ever give us the information on their code amendments for the city of Medford, or were there any, or do we know?
Oh, I think I've seen that document, the Medford results. So I can grab that and forward it your way.
Great.
But yeah, and they just did their preliminary assessment with us. So I just got to deep dive into that response today. Yep, got it.
So I do have a suggestion that we leave these. This was quite a bit. I think we can pass this on to the city council Would that be correct?
Yes.
You know, you guys printing all this out. I think I asked the commissioners, if unless you really want them, to hang on to them, but I asked them to just leave them. And give them back to game boys.
Good idea.
I can hold on to it.
Yeah, good job.
Did you? Yeah. All righty, well, with anything else, it's 7:30, so.
Which is kind of.
Well, so public comment already passed. That was the time, like, you can't expect answers during public comment, but that's when you can ask questions that could be discussed during the meeting. If you have further questions about the urban growth boundary, the questions, it'd be a good idea to contact the planning department and ask those. Yeah, not during public hearing. I mean, like, contact the city staff and like directly, like not in this meeting, and ask them questions. During the public comment period or during the public hearing, but not at this time.
Here.
Well,
It was, it's a real simple question, like, probably ask somebody outside of the answer. I'm not a big troublemaker guy, I'm just.
I'll connect with you.
Yeah, again, just talk to Jeff and set up an appointment.
Okay.
And same for you.
I'll do better next time.
Questions when I need you, but now I do have several.
Sure, absolutely. I can imagine that, sure. Well, I encourage you to keep those questions and get a hold of Jeff get a hold of Jeff. Submit your questions, set up a time that you guys can meet. Then we had a great meeting room over there and have a discussion maybe.
I'm very hopeful about all this process anyway. We've been in Jackson County for the last 2 years.
Okay,
And it takes time and there's very
yes,
little
the
results.
process takes time.
And it seems to me that within this structure, that somebody has a property, wants to make a zoning correction, hires professionals, go to the city and to the planning, while residents are.
Sorry, I'm sorry, this meeting is closing now at this time, but just encourage you to meet with staff.
I just had a point. So if she had questions, it's kind of the moment is passed to address it with council, but for those questions be emailed to you so that I think this city council is the next place this will go.
That's right.
Can those questions be addressed in advance so city council can be prepared to answer them?
That'd be nice.
Oh, okay, is that what you're looking for?
We were notified of this, we'll be notified on all the other. Meetings.
Yep. Yep.
And I get the proper time to as well.
Sure.
Absolutely.
If they go online and sign up for notices, will they get the emails?
So because they made public comment, they're on the list. They're in the authoritative file now. And so the next step, they'll be noticed. So we'll just send you something in the mail. And if you left your email on that form, we can send it to you by email too.
Your email now. Oh, I think we'll make sure we get it. Great.
Have the other sheet, Thank you. At this time, close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.